Okay. So unless they those unless Sinjin and Bushi show up, we'll go over the things that like I need you guys. I like you guys can help. You guys can help me with. So last week, the governance framework, I had wrote up a draft that was basically a two-tier system. You had core team and then core contributors, and they each had different roles. Core team was basically if you were a core team, you were basically the top of the food chain in this, and you had control of the multi-sig. You had a vested interest in everything, and if you were a core contributor, you basically had a lot of the other same roles as a core team, except you just didn't have you didn't have access to the multi-sig. And this was to help kind of like even out the power to accept and proposals through kind of like accepting proposals through an endorsement mechanism where if somebody were to want to send a proposal up for a vote for how we do anything, it would basically be core contributors. You would need two endorsements. Who could not be it had to be a proposal had to be endorsed by either two core contributors who were not the authors of the proposal itself, or by a member of the core team. And that was just to help kind of like keep the process moving. However, this two-tier hierarchy didn't make a whole lot of was not really well received because it's complicated and it just was not well liked. So I went ahead and I actually originally tasked Hero with trying to figure out, well, what does a single tier system look like? And he didn't really he kind of thought about it. He drafted some things up, but it's not like a fully fleshed out framework. I had an idea, and so I fleshed out an entire new framework based on it. And I have two options. So this is fleshed out in the sense that you have a single tier of people who can help endorse. We're still keeping the endorsement mechanism because I think that works real well until proven otherwise. Of how we can just keep approving, sending up proposals for vote, and how to keep the chain moving. The first option is, and the first mechanism is that a core. There's no core team. It's just core contributor. It's just a title, and core contributors can only be made a core contributor by snapshot vote. They have to be at least either of endorsed by at least 3 already existing core contributors, or by at least, and so this was the first option, or by at least 25 verified owners of a DAO Punk in the DAO Punk community via a public poll that has been held for no longer than 7 days. This line right here is merely for the sole purpose of if the community wants to appoint somebody that is not already on there to help keep the ball moving. This is all that is. It's just a helpful stop, like a measure to help keep the process moving in the event that the core contributors stop moving the ball forward. That's it. That was this process. But I pulled this number out of thin air. I like 25 and I just pulled it out. But then yeah.
Can I ask a question on that? You said it says 25 owners. I know there's at least one member of the community that, just because I looked the snapshot for the grants vote, I think there's one member that had 12 punks.
Yeah, but that would so technically I would flesh this out to be 25. It would be 25 it would be 25 different owners. So it would be by
individuals.
Yeah, individuals. Although technically that person could just move all of his punks to individual addresses. But if you're willing to do that, then that's that's, I mean, there's no metric to figure that out. But that's the gamble you make.
Exactly. Okay.
But like I said, I didn't really like this number is completely arbitrary. I just made it up. I had a second thought. And this is completely this is the ugliest thing I have ever written, and I don't like it, which is probably why you guys may like it and might be the best option. And it's super complicated, but let me just try and explain it. So it's the other option is same thing is endorsed by at least 3 contributors, or by members of the community via a unique ETH address that contains at least one Dowpunk per address, where at least half of the average, rounded down, of the unique Dowpunk ETH addresses that voted, where it's like the average has to be, or I wrote this, where at least one half of the average, rounded down, of unique Dowpunk ETH addresses that voted in the last 3 snapshots via a public poll that has been held for no longer. So basically, this is, instead of having it be just like an arbitrary 25, you have a number that is based on the average of 3 snapshot of the last 3 snapshot votes of the total community involvement. So that way, if there's more community involvement, then there's it's a higher threshold to help kind of like get this in. But if there's lower community threshold, there's less community involvement, the number is decreases, and it's a very big sliding scale. And
You're saying you're weighting people's voting power based on whether they voted on the last 3 snapshots?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't mean to write it as like whether or not they voted. Is basically on the number of ETH addresses that have voted in the last 3 snapshots.
Oh.
Instead
of an arbitrary number 25, you're like take an average of how many people engage in our votes.
Yeah, just like it, here I it's super ugly, but it's like, oh well, if we have 100 ETH addresses that vote in a community, you only need 50 people to help to like, we want to nominate this person as a core contributor, and like that's all you need, and like that'll go up. And just because that it just seems as again, this is just it's just one person, and it's just a mechanism to help add somebody to the layer, to the process of like helping move the process along.
So why wouldn't you why not just say majority vote
of?
Instead of that, why don't you just say like that people can be nominated by majority vote?
Of what?
Through a snapshot proposal.
But how? So I wanted.
What would be the benchmark for the majority vote? What would be the benchmark for the majority vote? Would that be number of Dowpunks held? Would that be?
I think he's just looking for a minimum number.
Standard voting protocol. Live fast, like, I guess my question is just like, why not just do a standard voting proposal? Say like, I nominate Live Fast to be on the core team, and we just push it through Snapshot, and the community votes on it.
So this is by having it an average of the last 3, and you would need like you would need like 50 people to endorse the nomination, so that way we wouldn't have unnecessary like one or 5 people just being like, oh, we want to nominate this person. Well, you don't have enough people to agree to that to make it a possibility. So it's kind of.
But a proposal has to be endorsed by 2 core team members anyway.
But this is a backdoor, or like this is a side thing to help endorse, to nominate somebody to a core contributor, not for just to make somebody become a core contributor. In theory, if this is just to get somebody up onto the core contributor level, if in the event that like we don't have the core contributors just stop doing things, and or the community wants to put somebody that they want to put somebody in there that better represents them than whoever's on the core contributor list. This is all this is. This isn't for.
So it's a way of circumventing the need for a core contributor to endorse the proposal by having enough community, like Dowpunk holders, endorse it instead.
Again, this is specifically not for proposals. This is only for core contributors. So
it's a proposal to elect a core contributor.
Oh yeah, correct. Yes, in that sense.
Yeah. And which might apply to any other proposal. You know, if you want to put a backdoor for the community to be able to circumvent the core team, you might as well do that for everything and just have like a standard, just standardize everything on the same standard, but try to make it like less complicated.
Okay. Okay, I could try. I didn't think. Okay, I could try and do that. But okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. If you're gonna try and like, you're right that this is a proposal, even if it's just for a core contributor. But like, why not? Like, if we're doing it for this, why not do it for all the things? We can do that. So, okay. So all right. I'll make a note of that.
So I mean, it'd be like, did you read Hero's simplified governance proposal?
Yeah, there was like not a whole lot to it.
Yeah.
So
so it'd be like if it was here, it says like a proposal. Let's see, did he put the endorsement on there? A proposal can be submitted for a vote if it is endorsed by at least 2 core contributors, not inclusive of the persons who drafted or authored the proposal. And then there would be an addendum to that, which would say, or endorsed by said number of DAOpunk NFT holders.
okay.
And I would be more in favor of just putting that at a number instead of trying some complicated algorithm. And I mean, I get where you're coming from with that, and maybe it's necessary.
The number is just
As like a Sybil resistance thing, I imagine, is the goal.
Yeah. That's why I left it. That's why I originally chose a number, and then I was like, I don't even know what a good number is. So that's why, and then I was like, well, if we wanted to do something else, what would it be? But all right. So so I got your note on that, but I also came up with this other idea. So I have it by 2 measures. So one is by having half of the half the number of unique DAOpunk ETH addresses, and then I also have it by 2/3 of the actual average of DAOpunk NFTs that were used over the last 3 snapshots. So, as like 2 different options, as possibilities. So like, you take the last the average of the last 3 snapshots, 2/3 of whatever that is. That would be another community metric to help either do this type of proposal. What did you guys think of that?
I'm wondering if it's not too much. What's the minimum? But you don't have to meet all of them, do you? Just the one. The 3 original or the 3 main core contributors. They can approve it.
Yeah.
If those 3 are involved, this is where it defaults to.
Yeah. If 3 core contributors do not endorse something, it could be defaulted to this. And I only chose this I chose these 2 options. One is just by unique ETH addresses, because this also negates that, like, if somebody holds more than 1 NFT, this gives that a certain type of weight. And this is like 2/3 of the average of the NFTs held. So that, like, if somebody has one person who holds 22 NFTs, you can make up a sizable amount of the vote, but you still need a significant number of people who hold DAOpunks to actually do anything. I don't these are just some scales that I thought about. But this is also this is extreme. This is civil, if the people started screaming that we're not doing what they want and they don't have any means to do anything. That's all this is.
We can call it the mutiny clause.
Yeah, well, that was part of going back to last fall or over the winter. There, we had a bunch of us had voiced it'd be nice to have the community to have a say in issues going forward, so that they're more or less checks that box.
Yeah, I like that. It's a mutiny. It's the mutiny clause. So, and I mean, that's all this is. Unless you guys have any other additional comments as to whether or not the endorsement mechanism is a bad idea, this is what I came up with. I mean, and it's just like we changed since everybody's since it's only a single tier level. I changed it from 2 to 3 core contributors because I assume that we will have like a lot more core contributors than before. So having at least 3 people that aren't the authors of it makes more like it seems to be like a fair assessment. It's not necessarily a majority, because I think that's just like that might be too much. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I like that. Actually, I was in the back of my mind. I'm thinking about. I don't know if you're aware of what happened with the DGen project over at the BDAO, but there's an issue that's unfortunately been resolved. Doesn't seem to the good side for the BDAO with DGen, and that the project is walking out the door with one of the core contributors there, because he kind of boxed himself into being the holder of everything. And well, there was a fallout with the other contributors, and well, DGen's going out the door apparently.
Huh.
I have no idea what you just said, other than like somebody got in control of everything and then was no longer able to vote.
No, they walked off.
Yeah.
They walked off with the assets.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising, because it seemed to be, well, it's well used. The bot's well used for, well, POAPs especially, but I think other things as well. And just Slinky Potato, it's well known who it is. It's Slinky Potato, and he had boxed himself, or they had boxed themselves into being the more or less the person with all the controls in place. And I think it's the end of this month that project is more or less walking out the door, and BDAO is getting nothing of it. And it's kind of a funny, or I shouldn't say funny, maybe that's for all the contributors that were involved with that. They put a lot of effort and time into that project, and it's done.
How much are they walking off with?
I didn't get into those weeds, those details, but just there was so much time and effort put into that, and with the other contributors, I don't know, what the falling out was. I think a couple of them wanted to go in a certain direction, and this other contributor or developer wanted to go in another direction, and it went to the ombudsman, for the ombuds team to look at, and they tried to meet it out, and they did. But by that time, the Slinky Potato had done whatever they had done. I'm missing those details, but just where I was reading about this here over the last couple of days, they had arranged it so that the multi-sig was all on their end, and they had full, more or less, control of the project, and that is where it's at. And at the end of this month, well, it seems like it's heading out the door with no remuneration or control for the BDAO to even use going forward.
Okay. So yeah, this is like not design. This is designed to. Well, the idea is that like this is not that, but like we also have our own. That we have a few different other safety measures in place. One is core contributors cannot endorse their own proposal, or if you author a proposal or work on it, you can't endorse it. And
okay.
2, as Michael calls it, I love it. The mutiny clause. We have the mutiny clause in here to help.
So one of the beautiful things about mutiny is that it's not like it exists outside the framework, right? Like, there's something I wanted to point out about this whole thing is that, like, if you're giving the community the power to circumvent the core team, well, who has authorship permissions on the snapshot anyway? Like, so how are you going to hold that vote?
Well, they would have to figure that out. Like, I assume that if there's going to be a mutiny, like somebody has to be due diligent. Otherwise, it would be like, it wouldn't be that. It's not difficult to, one, if there was a mutiny to go involved, to just tell them, they're like, you need to show timestamps of all the people who are and their respective ETH addresses if they own a token. Like, it's no longer difficult to pull which addresses own which tokens from our NFT collection. Like, I did it and it took me 10 minutes worth of work. And so it's no longer difficult. And then just having people be like, I own this address, and I vote in favor of this. So it would, somebody just has to do it, has to aggregate it in a nice Excel document. And I guess that would be, but I'm not going to spend, I'm not going to write out what it would look like. I'm just going to be like, well, here's what would be accepted, if that makes sense. I also have this belief that if we failed in our duties to provide good governance, that this has to be used on more than one occasion, then we definitely fucked up along the way. But that's that was it. So that was the big analysis that idea I came up with.
One thing on my side, just regarding under the core contributor, I think 2 and 3, I don't know if it was at the bottom, I'm not sure, but there was a part where you were explaining what the second option is. I think it's just maybe the wording that's a bit complex, but the only thing I'm thinking about is if there's a way to simplify it in terms of, I don't know, some benchmark or quorum or something that makes it easier to either interpret what you're explaining there, or maybe it's just a simpler framework for us to be able to decide. I don't know which of the two would be easier.
Yeah, this isn't the final language. This is just the idea that I had put down, and obviously I have to work on this language. If this is something that you guys if you guys think is a good idea, or if you want to keep this, I didn't want to spend I wanted to get as much of it down in, but not to dialed in well enough to the point where this is how the language is going to look.
Gotcha.
It's more of this is what it will this is what it will look like. Here's how it will work, and all this and all that. And I also talked about removal of I also put in something for the mutiny for removal of a core contributor as well.
Right. I think also there's an aspect of governance that, I mean, what comes to mind, although it was a long time ago, is when in Bankless there was a thing with quorum that at some point had to be removed. So I think there's also an aspect of this not being perfect. As we start needing to revert to it or use it, there may be aspects of it that may need to change, that may need to be reworked, or some parts that would break and we need to fix. So I also don't see this as set in stone. I think it's something
the living document.
Time.
Yeah. I also refuse to put in anything about a quorum in here based on snapshot, based on community participation.
Gotcha.
So I had thought about that for a while, and I was just there's no need.
At this point, I agree. I don't think there is any need. But just the aspect of, I don't know, maybe quorum is the wrong word. Some sort of Mike, I think you were talking about majority vote. When I think of majority, what will be the base of that majority? If out of 10, only 10 people voted in the community and it's 7 against 3, then boom, that's it done. But would there be any sort of benchmark? I know earlier in the document you mentioned 25 verified owners, individuals who own a DAO punk and not just DAO punks that are owned by people. So I guess some sort of benchmark would be good to establish what the majority would be.
That's only if that's outside. That's in addition to endorsement by a core contributor, the 3 core contributors. So that's how things should be working on.
Okay. Will you share this document, by the way, afterwards, just to have a read through, or is this a working document you wouldn't be sharing yet?
No, yeah,
Okay,
I
that's
have a
fine.
link.
That's fine.
You can. It's. Yeah, I'll re.
Is this the V2? Is this on the V2
Yeah, this is
that you
V.
had shared previously?
Yeah, this is V2.
Right. Okay. I've got that open. My bad. I thought that was I thought that was something else.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
then I'll look through it.
yeah. So it's all these sections are under 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 is the first section. It's that I had core team and core contributors.
Right. Okay.
Just basically, yeah. So because I just wanted to work on both of them to see what it looks
So
like. Yeah. Thoughts.
I would do like you know, so it can't be too complicated because we're not like if this happens, it's not using Snapshot because it's being done by the people who don't have Snapshot permissions. It needs to be simple enough that it can be executed in some kind of a way. And you can't just say like, oh, this is my Ethereum address, and I say yes, because anybody could say this is my Ethereum address, and I say yes. I think it needs to be inside the token-gated channels in Discord that token holders already have access to, and you can just say that for the mutiny clause, like any proposal, including the nomination or removal of core team members, can be passed within the token gated Discord channels using like reaction voting, like emoji reaction voting.
Okay. I will ponder that and try to work on how that looks and test some things. Okay.
And I would put a quorum on that, like, because effectively the quorum is fulfilled by the core team members sponsoring a proposal. That effectively does what we would want quorum to do. So in this case, the mutiny clause like ditches that, and so you need a quorum. So I would say like a quorum of 25. And the thing that Discord does is it gives some level of Sybil resistance. So it doesn't really matter like how many punks somebody is holding. They only have one Discord account, and if they wanted to go spread their punks out and verify several different Discord accounts, they'd have to do that in order for it to work.
Okay. So this, yeah. Okay, I think I got you.
So I would put in the mutiny clause like any proposal that, like, basically any proposal, including the election or removal of core team members, can be passed within the token-gated Discord channels without the use of Snapshot, using reaction voting, and give like a brief template for how that would, like, the full proposal needs to be in one single Discord post, and affirmative votes, you know, should be defined as like this one specific emoji, like a black flag or like a, you know, like a pirate flag or something, something like that. It needs to be like 2/3 majority with a 25 vote quorum. Something like that might work, and it's like simple enough. It circumvents anything else, and it has some level of Sybil resistance, and isn't too complicated.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, that's it. So it looks like it sounds like this everybody seems to be okay with this single tier and these mutiny like rules so far, as long as they get fleshed out a bit more, which can be done for the next meeting.
It works for me, man. You're doing a great job. It's way above my knowledge base. So keep up the good work. I appreciate what you're doing there, and yeah, bang up job.
Yeah, I had. Okay, so I the quorum to like just to expand just a little bit on you, Michael. I had to set the quorum to be like like I said, half of the. I guess it could be like half of the. It could be like half of the average of like the last 3 snapshots. Just so that way. It's just. We could do a half, would you want to do different quorums for different things if they were in mutinies? Because that's what I had it, I had it set as different, 2 different things. Like if you wanted to add a core contributor, it was a certain level of quorum needed. I had set it as the half of the average of ETH addresses. And if it was for the removal of a core contributor, it was 2/3 of ETH addresses. I made it really difficult. I made it easy to add somebody, but difficult to remove somebody.
I almost feel like it should be
The same.
I mean, I feel like it should be easy to remove somebody. Yeah. And I would try to keep it simple. And also, like, I don't know if it should be weighted towards, like how many people have been engaging already, because it's like if you're going to make some severe changes to the core team or what's going on, like, you might have to wake up some sleepy, like, community members to do that, and not just, like, if the number slumps down below 25 to where there's not that much engagement going on, like, I don't think you should make it that easy to, like, disrupt stuff.
I mean, that's why you keep the you keep it as a rolling average. If we have 3 snapshot votes and like we have that low of a participation,
well, you need to, like, I mean, if somebody can spark up enough engagement from community members that haven't been engaging, then they deserve whatever it is that they're trying to propose. But, like, if they can't even get the attention of, like, people who haven't been voting, like, I don't think it would, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I also feel like it's just simpler to just have a set number.
Okay.
Maybe go in line with the Hero's idea of keeping things fairly simplistic.
I'm trying, man. It's hard.
I hear you, man. I hear you. There's that's why unfortunately conversations like this need to happen. Is
you can't. I can't. I mean, I can write. If I took out half of this discussion is past core contributors. Like, that seems to be the okay. If I took out this core contributor thing, and we took out mutiny, this whole mutiny clause, like, it's essentially like that's it. But like, I kind of wanna but like it wouldn't be a very complete document, and there's kind of like no. Yeah, I don't know. It just if I take out this mutiny clause and we just kind of like go with what it is right now, it becomes a very centralized governance, and I don't know how everybody felt about that. It sounded like everybody didn't really want this to be very centralized, and they wanted to make this as decentralized as possible. And I felt that like including this was a very decentralized manner. Actually, I just spoke to Hero about this before, and he's just like, he's like, I don't know what you're doing. He's like, I don't know what you think like you need to do, but like, if this makes you happy, go do it. So like, we could just like delete this whole mutiny clause and then just like acknowledge that like this is very centralized, and then we could just move to the next thing and like clean it up. But like, it's up to you. What do you guys think?
No, I think conversations like this need to be had, but just I understand. I guess I see both sides of it, and where we end up is where we'll end up. But conversations like this need to be had to get to where we end up. And I see both sides of doing the weeds or the details. But I also see the simplistic side, but that's the easy way, and that's where you get into issues down the road. So that steers us back towards the very guided form of having details laid out.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I got for right now. If
I think that like those feelings are addressed by some kind of a simple mutiny clause that basically circumvents the permissions that the core team has over the snapshot and the multi-sig, and and I think that mutiny clause can be relatively simple, not be too much to add to, like, let's say what Hero has in his simplified document. And then the other thing is his thing was core contributors are defined as those who control and have access to the DAO-Punk's treasury. I would redefine that as people as co-signers on the DAO-Punk's multi-signature wallet, and people who hold permissions of the Discord, Snapshot, and Twitter account. And then he said people can be added or removed from the Treasury wallet by vote of the majority of signers. And I would say that maybe it's okay to, like, maybe we can leave that, but also say that core contributors can be nominated by standard proposal through Snapshot by the community. I can type those things in here into this document, but I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
Yeah. So this, by the way, like this document, all he did was just take the draft that I had and just like kept all my edits. So like this is basically the last document that I spoke about last week, except he just accepted everything. He didn't add anything into it. He just
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, just make the edits on here. What you have, I guess I'll take a look at it. I'll see if he makes a note of it, and then kind of bring it up for discussion next week after we've kind of like mulled on it some more.
Yeah, I'll just make a few comments into this the one titled Simplified Governance Framework, and then after I do that, you can see if that addresses your concerns, or whether there's anything additionally that you'd like to add.
Yeah, because I know Hero did not want core contributors to be on the multisig. He wanted those people to be separate. So
Are you sure?
Yeah, he literally.
Because I thought he was saying the opposite. I thought he was saying that all the core contributors should just be co-signers, and then this sentence is saying core contributors are defined as those who have access to the DAO-Punk's treasury.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. That was my big thing.
Oh.
I wanted the core team, and he was just like, oh, yeah. He's like he wanted them to be separate from each other. I wanted core team and core contributors to be part of the multi-sig. I wanted the core team to have it, and then, like I said, he didn't add anything to this. He just cleaned up the document I had, and then just like made it like without any of my edits.
Okay.
So yeah, he doesn't. I don't think if he'll correct me, but like I'm very sure he did not want core contributors to have access to the multi-sig. Do you keep those two groups separate?
Because I thought he was saying when we were initially talking about the having a core team and a core contributors group, he was talking about not having two tiers, but just turning it into one tier.
Yeah, he wanted make it two tiers, but the people who control the multi-sig, they don't have the power to do endorse or anything. They just control the multi-sig, and then that's it. That's what I got from it. But I could be very much wrong.
I think you're heading down the right path, my friend. I think, as I said, you're doing a great job, but this is quite far ahead of my knowledge depth, so thank you for that.
Okay. I think that's. I do you have anything else, Michael? Because I think that's about it for governance. You're a little rugged. I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, that makes two of us. I didn't get any of that. Having said that, gang, I am going to book it out of here. Thanks for the chat. We'll catch us. Are we doing grant stuff on Thursday, or is that the next week?
No, we're doing it on Thursday. I mean, I still have one more topic I wanted to go over.
Okay.
I just I feel like the governance discussion kind of just there's we'll work on it, and then that's why we have 2 weeks. Then we can bring it up.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had this idea. So for the copyright thing. So I asked Hero to reach out to the Bankless DAO Legal Guild to see if anybody could review the draft language that I had wrote up for us for how to propose, for our copyright legalese for our punks. The problem is that one, I'm not a lawyer, and so I need somebody else who's more familiar with it to read it and make sure that it actually makes sense. Because I basically just took somebody else's framework or legal, and I just copy pasted us into it and then changed it based on what I was reading. But I would prefer that we had a lawyer who specializes in this actually read it. Hero reached out to the legal guild, and nobody wanted to touch it because obviously they're not being paid. They want to be paid for it. So then it becomes a question of money. I do not. While I feel that we should pay for this, we should actually pay the money for it, I can understand why the hesitancy towards pulling money from our treasury to pay for something really like this. So I had an idea of doing a t-shirt fundraiser in the community after Sinjin does the next t-shirt drop, specifically for the purpose of grabbing enough money to pay for a lawyer to read it and approve of it, or review it and then give us the changes necessary.
Do you think there'd be enough sales from a t-shirt or a merch drop like that to cover the expenses of that? I don't know what the expenses for something like that would be.
Probably for an attorney fee, it'd probably be I don't know, worst case, a couple $1,000s. Hoping that if I do a t-shirt sale with a good enough margin that I wouldn't take normally I wouldn't I just won't take a cut out of whatever it costs to my cut would be out of it. I would just be here's the cost of the product plus whatever cut that I would normally get from what you for selling it. I just be that's going into this fund. for this purpose. It was just an idea of like how to pay for it. It was just as an idea that I had. Because
Yeah, I like the idea. You last Thursday you slid or you left a bit or you had to go on Thursday's call. We chatted a bit afterwards there, and it seemed like a bunch of us were on board with a bit of a maybe a social experiment towards East Denver there, and maybe hold off on conversation or not conversation, but hold off on anything there until maybe the rest of the gang's here, because we had I thought it was really engaging conversation there after I think you did leave a little bit early last week, did you not?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we had a really engaging conversation that went in a totally opposite direction as do governance and grant stuff. It was more of a social experiment that about possibly a merch drop and just community engagement with other communities. And it's not that I don't want to spill the beans on that. I don't know if you had been chatting with anybody since then or not, but it seemed like everybody, even Hero, was his interest was piqued. And I think it's a bigger question because Sinjin is working on that other merch drop there, I believe.
Yeah,
That maybe.
I literally just took photos for him of modeling the shirt.
Oh, nice. But again, going back to last week, there the conversation was maybe waiting until East Denver for that merch drop. And when is that next? Is that late next winter, early next spring?
Yeah, it's a while. It's still sometimes off.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how that would all play into that. So it's too bad the rest of the gang wasn't here to add some more input into that. But just it was a lively conversation where everybody seemed to like, this could be really something here. And again, it's too bad the rest of the gang's not here right now.
Yeah. That was it. That was my idea. That's what I've been thinking about.
Cool, man. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to work in some kind of a workaround that exists, because it's like if we can't have like fully on-chain, decentralized, like protocol level governance that is trustless, then we at least need to have some kind of a social layer that is able to circumvent any potential issues in order to feel like it's not 100% centralized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I mean, and then the other things I was going to do were, I wanted to talk about, none of the three are here to talk about it. It was just to finalize the discussion of finances, the LLC, and like LLC discussions, because paying our bills is like, apparently paying the bills is difficult, and it's a lot more complicated than I thought. And I followed up with the person who reached out about forming the Dowpunks LLC for the actual like DAO. And that's like, they said that they quoted us at like $9,500. Obviously, like, that's a lot of money, but that's also something to like, I think needs to be discussed at some point if this is going to continue for any reasonable amount of time.
Well, the worst part about that is with the price of ETH down so bad now that I'm sure the treasury is not overly robust in U.S. dollar terms.
Yeah, but that is also that is a higher up discussion that needs to be had.
Yeah, definitely, hands down.
Because apparently, apparently we cannot get a corporate card because we don't have we're not a company. But if to become a company, we have to be an LLC, and to become an LLC, you have to pay for these things, and that way we can get a company card to pay for these on a company account and then use the money. Otherwise, we're just having people use their own account and information to do things, and like especially for like merch drops, that is very complicated if we don't have that set up. It's running a small. This is running a small business, and it's draining and exciting and tiring all at the same time.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you've taken on a lot of the load of the work there, and that's why I'm thankful for you sticking out there and doing that because it's truly invaluable to the DAO. And again, I thank you for that.
No, dude, don't worry. You know, it's okay. What's up, Michael? You wanted to say something?
No, I think I was just affirming that running a small business is really hard work. And that's shit that Bougie has been doing this whole time basically. And that's in his best interest, and this is his baby, and others too, but he made money on the mint, and that's cool. He might be able to make money on future mints, but obviously he's also just putting a lot of his heart and soul into it as a passion project, and sometimes it's easier to just manage those things yourself rather than come up with some kind of a system where other people can do it, because then it ends up just being even more work anyway, or it gets fucked up and doesn't get done properly. But he does want to be able to pass it on potentially, and so coming up with that framework will be beneficial. I think before paying anything to do an LLC, I would want there to be a clear revenue model in order to justify that. But if there's no revenue model, then it's
Well, yeah.
we're not going to be able to pay. You need to pay whoever's doing that work, not only that thing, but whoever's going to be managing those expenses and stuff. That person needs to be getting paid. And if we're not bringing in money, then we can't justify those kinds of expenses. And it kind of should just stay at this hobby level, kind of incidental business operation as it is,
Yeah.
and just compensate, whoever's covering those expenses on their personal account through remuneration or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But
It's yep. Yeah, no, I agree. So, all right, and that's it. That's all I have. Anybody else have any other final comments? We're almost at the hour.
I'll go here, man. I'm going to step out on that note, and you fellas have a good one, and we'll catch you on Thursday if you're around.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I was just listening, like I said. I don't know, man. I think Maiko is kind of saying what I'm thinking too. I've been trying to think more about revenue models and things like that to make, any sort of LLC or whatchamacallit, copyright protections. Basically, I just feel like we gotta make that make sense first, or otherwise, what are we protecting? But I could see both sides being two necessary things we can work on at the same time. So, yeah, I'm just going to put some more thought into that. But thank you again for all the work you do. Live fast. Love seeing some fresh governance takes on here.
Yeah, no problem. All right, guys. I'm gonna let you guys.
Yeah, I gotta run.
Yeah, you're all free to go. All right, I'll see you guys.
It's voluntary. Don't worry.
Cheers, man. Cheers. Thanks for everything. We'll catch you later.
Cheers, Live fast.
much
Yeah.
love, guys.